Yo, what's up guys, the Insane Game Freak here. I decided to do an outside version of this review because there was no reason to doing this inside, especially because it's essentially just going to be me talking for a few minutes and not everyone wants to look at my face for 20 minutes. So I'm just going to essentially talk, probably get interrupted a few times because that's usually what happens when I go outside of the normal area I'm usually in, aka my room, and people are like, "What are you doing? Are you talking to yourself again?" Yeah. Anyways, so this is essentially me just talking about Naruto. Oh, also because random shit like that happens where squirrels are climbing trees and fucking branches fall out because they get reckless. Anyways, so essentially this is just me talking about Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 3. My thoughts on it. I'm kind of late, mainly because I had already beat the game, but I don't know, I just had really no inclination to just directly talk about it. Hey, look, a bird. I don't know if you can see it. See something moving. But my whole thing is just, I really think when it comes to the Storm games, we really got to start taking breaks, like longer breaks. Like, I skipped generations to play this game, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I probably need to skip like the next 2 games for me to feel like a vast improvement, because they keep releasing a Storm game every year. I mean, we had, what was it? Storm 1, Storm 2, Storm Generations, and then Storm 3. Storm 2 to Storm 3 isn't that big of a jump, excluding Generations, so I can't imagine what, if you played in Generations, how the fuck that felt. Probably felt like lackluster as shit. And there are a few reasons why I fucking say this. Now, I'm not saying the game is horrible. The game isn't horrible. I mean, it's still a Naruto game. It's still a decently designed Naruto game. It just doesn't feel, it's not like a good sequel. As a game by itself, it's fine, but as a sequel, fuck no. Fuck no. So let me just go through the thing. Pretty much this game takes place right after the Pain Invasion arc, which is where the second game ended. Meaning you're going to go through 5 Kage Summon again, which you do in Generations, so it was like, what the fuck was the point of that? I think Generation stops at the beginning of the war, whereas this one starts stops near the middle of the war. Anyways, so it's not even that much of a jump. If you play Generations, the story mode is just gonna bore the shit out of you. Or if you read the manga, the story mode is gonna bore the shit out of you. The only reason why you really want to play the story mode is because of the boss fights, which I'm not gonna really say too much about because I feel like they just dropped the ball on that. So I'm gonna say a lot about them. I feel like they dropped the ball on the boss fights. Why do I say that? Because the boss fights are fucking, like, we only get like a few of the epic ones, and you know, some of them are epic, but some of them are just like, I don't give a fuck. And the last one is long as shit, and which annoys the fuck out of me because they expect you to get through certain portions of that boss fight without dying, and it's not a traditional boss fight where you're fighting something, you're punching it, and then you switch out and shit. No, you gotta go through like, I think 2 or 3 phases. No, it was like 4 or 5 phases of the damn boss fight, and half of it you gotta go on it with 1 health bar, and I'm like, were you kidding me? Especially considering what the fuck you're fighting, and some of these things are cheap as shit. But so we're starting at 5 Kage Summit again. There is no boss fight in there except for the Team 7 boss fight, which is a good boss fight. So you move on, and now we're in the Kushina training art thing. The boss fight there is the one against the Ninetales, another good boss fight. Actually, the game doesn't even start. The game technically starts with the flashback, the part, which kind of does make sense. The game starts with part of the Ninetales history, you know, Minato versus the Masked Man, quote unquote Toby, quote unquote Obito, crap. It starts off with that, and then it goes right back into the whole, oh, okay, we're gonna start 5 Kage Summit now, and I'm like, okay. But anyways, you have that boss fight, the one that everyone's played, the death in the demo. The boss fights I previously mentioned, and then we move from those boss fights to, I think after it's the beginning of the war, and what is the boss fight for that war? That's the thing, you go like a good while without actually having another boss fight. That's one of the things that sucks. Like, you literally go through a fuck ton of stages, and I think the next boss fight you have is what the fuck is it? Because you didn't have a boss fight with the Kages. No, you didn't have a boss fight with them fighting the Edo Tensei Kages. There wasn't a Moy or a Conqueror boss fight. Oh, the Seven Swordsmen. That's probably the next boss fight, because the Dari versus Ginkaku and Kinkaku shit. That's not a boss fight. Well, it kind of is, but it isn't. It's like a bullshit version of a boss fight, which gets into another problem I have with the game. But it's like, you go through those boss fights. You have the Seven Swordsmen boss fight. You have the Madara versus the 5 current Kages boss fight, and then you have the final Naruto Killer Bee versus Tobi in the Undead Jinchuriki fight. And half of these fights, and I think what ticks me off more is the lack of boss fights and the ones that they could have turned into boss fights and they just refuse to turn into a boss fight. What do I mean? You could easily have turned the Conqueror shit into a real boss fight. You could have turned the Dari fight into a boss fight, included characters who... Oh, no, I'm forgetting the Asuma fight, too. I'm sorry. And I'm like, I would have rather had the Dari fight than the Asuma fight. I mean, oh, fuck, you could have gave me both. Because they gave me the Asuma fight, which is fairly short in its own right. And then, right after, you do the Choji versus the giant Gezo statue, and I'm just kind of like, alright. Also, the fucking... Now, to get into the biggest problem with the fucking story mode, is 2 main things. The boss fights, you know, it's not a huge hindrance because the ones that are in there are still fun for the most part. 2 biggest hindrances. 1, it's a cutscene-a-thon. Jesus fucking Christ. This game is literally designed for people who don't know the Naruto story, which doesn't make sense considering they're addressing things that haven't even shown up in the fucking anime yet. So I'm like, why the fuck would you even have that in there? Like, why is the game like 60 or 70% cutscenes and the game is like 60 and 70% cutscenes? It's fucking retarded, actually. I don't fucking understand the point of that. The other problem is this. A lot of people would consider this a huge problem, but this shit just annoys me. What is up with the English dub syncing? What is up with the English dub, period? This has been a problem since Storm fucking 2, where what they'll do is you'll have an English track on there, but it's not synced at all, and it sounds like they took like the first take from the voice actors when they record the lines. Mind you, not every line sounds like shit. I'm just saying there are certain scenes where I'm just like, people who want to play, what's the point of giving me the option to play it in English if you're not going to give the English translation the same amount of respect you give the Japanese translation? AKA, sync the fucking English tracks. I don't want to see Naruto have a short sentence, but his mouth is still fucking moving. That's jarring as fuck, especially considering how many cutscenes are in the game. That means I'm watching mainly bad syncing for an English dub that seemed like it was really lazily put together, and it just comes off as a dick move. It's like, we have the English dub, but it's really only if you want to hear English. Not necessarily if you want to see the story told in English, just if it's... Oh, cool, bird. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if you can see him. He's on the fence right there. But it's like, we don't want to... It's only if you want the English dub. Oh, wow. Is he actually coming near me? No. I never get that lucky. I kind of wish I did, though. Anyways. It's like, we're just going to give you the English language, but we're going to treat the English dub like shit. And then and that's why half the time when you look at gameplay for this game on YouTube or wherever the fuck, you always see it in Japanese because, for one, people want to talk shit about the Naruto dub, which, to be perfectly honest, I like the Naruto dub. I don't understand what the fuck the hatred of the Naruto dub comes from. It has its problems, yeah, but it's not that bad of a dub. But just... it's that, and just, they just didn't give a fuck about the English version. That's what it feels like. It feels like they did not give a flying fuck about the English version, and that shit's annoying. And he's still chilling on the branches, and I don't fucking like that. Okay, so that's the main problem. Also, and the third problem with the fucking story mode. The 3 types of fighting you'll do. You'll do the traditional Naruto battle fighting that we've come to know and love. You do the boss battle fighting, which is the one that's full of quick time events, which is always cool. You'll do the giant fighting, which is essentially when you're fighting these giant bosses, there'll be it's like slowed down movement, but it's pretty much the Jinchuriki / giant body fighting, which it's kind of clunky, but I guess it's meant to be that way because you're fighting with giant fucking characters. So I'm not inherently annoyed at that. But the other version is this pseudo Storm versus fucking version, which is pretty much a version where you're nerfed. They take your character They nerf his ability to use fucking ultimate jutsus, and they restrict the fuck out of his movement, which results into this whole bullshit ass way of, it's pretty much like how you would fight in the story mode when you're walking around areas. That's how restricted your character is. And I'm just like, this does not work. It's in the prime example of this shit not working is the Dari fight versus Ginkaku and Kinkaku, because they do it here. But the most offensive it gets is the fucking Jinchuriki fight, the first part of it, where you're fighting them in pairs of 3, meaning you're fighting 3 Jinchuriki at once. And the game, first off, the game lags like a motherfucker if you have them all using their basic specials, which is the only thing you can use. You can't use your ultimates, which is bullshit. But I think they did that because they made the game fair. But it's like that bullshit be in there. You should have just turned that into a realistic boss fight. That would have been cool. Fighting all 6 Jinchuriki, and you kind of have different modes where you switch out between the Jinchuriki. That would have been cool. No, we got to do the pseudo fucking this bullshit version of the Storm fighting engine, and it just comes off really annoying. It's harder than what it needs to be, especially that fight. That fight was bullshit. That first part was bullshit. Actually, the second part is bullshit too. When you're fighting as like you're fighting as normal Naruto versus all 6 Jinchurikis in their fucking beast forms, and I'm like, you wanted me to beat this and the stage before on the same fucking health bar. How the fuck was I supposed to do that? I don't understand how the fuck anyone was supposed to. And what kills me is it has the prerequisite of beating it with 60% health. What the fuck, are you kidding me? How the fuck am I supposed to do that? Especially because what's the dude's name? The dude who has Son Goku as his tail beast. That dude has some of the fucking most cheapest long range attacks. How the fuck was I supposed to beat him? Him and the Two Tails, the chick with the tiger. I'm just like, what the fuck? So that's enough for me ranting on the story mode. The other thing I want to talk about is the battle mechanics themselves really haven't changed. I think the only thing that's changed is obviously they switched out chakra and substitution. They created a substitution bar, which I think everything pretty much is just an extension of Generations. They haven't really added anything. Pretty much if you play Generations, I don't think anything's really changed. I don't believe there is any change. The one thing I will say now is that the game is now not substitution and awakenings to win. It's combo cancel to win. Because if you don't know how to combo cancel, you will get your shit wrecked. Which kind of annoys me that with the Storm games, you essentially have to know how to do a certain move. And if you don't, you get your ass wrecked. They made awakenings not as OP, but they made them easier to pull off. Essentially, you can pull off an awakening at any fucking time. The only restriction is you don't have any chakra, which really doesn't mean shit because you can still dodge using the substitution bar. Mind you, you get 4 shots at it. I think it's like 4 or 5 substitutions and then your bar is empty. Which combo canceling is pretty much the integrity. Like, it's supposed to make the combat deeper, but really what it is now is that if you don't know how to combo cancel, you are going to lose virtually every goddamn match, which is fucking ridiculous. Then again, pretty much if you fight online anyway, you're gonna be fighting OP ass motherfuckers to begin with. Everybody using Naruto, everybody using pretty much any Uchiha, Uzumaki, or fucking Senju. Like literally, those are like the 3 ones people will rape you with. If you're fighting a character who's using who is part of any one of those 3 clans, fuck it. Don't even fucking play the game. Like, seriously. And it's not balanced at all. I'm not saying you can't beat these characters with other characters, but it's insanely hard to. Also, what annoys me is that they also, pretty much the shit's the same for most of the characters. Like, they didn't try to do a new variation with any of the characters that was already in the game. Like, if you play Storm 2, most of the specials are about the same for almost all the big characters, which annoys the fuck out of me. It feels like they didn't have to do much. I mean, yeah, the character roster's bigger. You get to use certain characters you didn't get to use before, which in its own right is cool. The other thing I want to really mention is the fucking DLC. Oh my god. What the fuck? Who the fuck thought some of these DLC choices were smart? And this isn't really around the game, but this is something I've been noticing. What the fuck? Like, Some of these DLC ones I thought were okay, like the fucking school uniforms, because that is a reference to something in the show. But they've recently been announcing like a whole bunch of stupid ass DLC, like the fucking pirate DLC. Not the One Piece pirate DLC, it's just like a traditional fucking, like Pirates of the Caribbean type of pirates. Like traditional pirates. Okay? A Lenderhosen DLC, Napoleon DLC, fucking Hello Kitty DLC. Actually, I probably could put up with that one, actually. Which pisses me off. We get all this other retarded ass DLC that has nothing to do with the series, but we don't get the Road to Ninja DLC. Okay, whatever. The only other thing I think I can talk about is the hub worlds themselves, because just like the other game, it's the same hub world. I don't give a fuck what anyone tells you. The graphics have not been improved. It does not look any different. It's the same damn hub world from Storm 2. The only difference is you get to go a lot more places because they're including all the different Kage areas. And what annoys me, and this is the part that ticks me off, I actually did play a decent amount of the side missions after I beat the main story. You have to backtrack like 9 or 10, 20 fucking times to do everything in the fucking game. Why? Because not every side mission is available when you first start doing the after story shit. Also, they do mention that there is an after story thing that you're going to do later. The after story thing that they're referring to is pretty much the whole portion of the game, portion of the manga, where Sasuke finally gets his eyes healed. And he comes out, and it's like this little bullshit side story where essentially he's fighting a whole bunch of fucking Zetsu, and then he fights Toby again. But it's not even it's not the same Toby. It's like what is it? It's Orange Mask Toby, which made even less sense. Like the fuck. I will say the final quick time fight was awesome. I'll give the game that. It had a really good ending. I love that ending. No bullshit. That was cool as ending. It was like, and the English dub of that final hit, even though it didn't sync, actually it synced enough where it didn't piss me off anyway. Because if you see that scene, you know that there's not too much that they can sync, since Toby's wearing a mask and Naruto isn't really, most of his shit is like off-screen talking. But I love that shit. He was like, my fist has a lot of names and a lot of thoughts backing them up. This is gonna hurt. And then he punches him down. That shit was cool. I'm sorry. It was, I like that. I'll give it that. That was an awesome ending. Especially considering it's filler. I really do kind of hope he does that in the goddamn anime. In the manga at one point. That'd be kind of a cool way to end it. Obviously, they don't show his face, so the Obito thing isn't in here. But the hut worlds, going back to that, it's just like, because the thing is, you have to, essentially with the hut worlds, it's like, you're in the village, you have to do a whole bunch of small shit in the village, and you go outside the village, you travel around. Some of the same missions from the fucking first game are in here. Like the stupid, oh no, there's a whole bunch of Dark Ninja, which is pretty much just an excuse to fight other characters in the series randomly during this after story shit. That's essentially what it is. And I'm just sitting there going, well, that was kind of fucking pointless. They couldn't even come up with a new goddamn mission. It's the same damn mission. The only difference is that they're white Zetsus, which is obviously playing out the part in the manga, but that's the whole point. Just like, what the fuck, you're using the same, it's literally the same mission. If you hadn't used it in the other games, it would have felt a lot more original here. But just, the fuck was that? I feel like something crawled on my foot and scared the shit out of me. But just, overall, it's not a bad game. It's not a bad game. But it's just, if you played the Storm series, if you consistently been playing the Storm series, you need to fucking take a break after this game. CyberConnect 2 needs to take a break. They need to leave this shit alone for a good 2 or 3 years. We don't need another fucking Storm game in a year. We really, really don't. The manga is not far enough for you to really cover any new material. Just fucking leave the game. Leave this shit alone for like 2. I know you need to make money, but it's like you're not really innovating the game. More or less that you're just adding a whole bunch of random shit that either I don't give a fuck about or isn't really that good. And at the end of the day, you know, I'd rather you waste about 2 years and then give me a really good product than come out every year with a decent product. especially when the products are getting kind of noticeably worse. Not even that. Honestly, probably would still say Storm 2 overall probably is better than Storm 3. Storm 3 has some things I like in it, but overall, I think Storm 2 was still just are overall better. It's like Storm 3, it's just the cutscene-a-thon, the English. Stop fucking treating the English dub like shit. Some of those fucking introduced new battle mechanics you introduced for certain sections of the game can go down to fire. Henceforth, that bullshit version that nerfs the shit out of your character, that shit can go. That shit is not liked. Move that shit out of there. You should have did more boss fights that you could have done, because there was like 3 or 4 of them they could have done, and I wish they did more. Even though they're quote-unquote boss fights, I don't treat them as boss fights. I treat them as fun parts of the game. If you included more of those are fun as hell. I would have liked the one for Kankuro. I would have liked one for Dari. Shit, I would have liked one for, I was surprised the Danzo fight didn't get one, but then again, I think the Danzo fight got one in Generations, and they didn't know how to do that fight again, probably. I didn't play Generations, but that's just an assumption I have. But just wait a few years. Like 2, I think 3 years would be fine. I would say 2, but I don't believe 2 years would be enough. That way, when you come out with a new game, either the series will be done, or you'll have this just really a whole bunch of material to cover, and it won't feel like shit. It won't feel so hard. It won't feel disappointing. But that's essentially my thoughts for Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 3. Just tell me what you guys think in the comment section. That's my thoughts. That's my opinions. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for support. Sorry I'm not looking at the camera much, which is really late in the video to say that. But anyways, that's a game. Play to win. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.